Okay, Wale, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Wale, I can hear you. Perfect. Okay.
All right. So we can jump in here.
Okay. We're in better shape now.
You say what?
Okay, we're in better shape now. This is good.
Awesome. I got a couple minutes here. I got another call in a few, but let's start with your name, first and last, please. Pronunciation and spelling.
Absolutely. Arthur Shopper, first name spelled A as in apple, R as in rabbit, T as in teacher, H as in hat, U as in up, R as in rabbit. Last name Shopper, S as in Sam, C as in cat, H as in hat, A as in apple, P as in people, E as in elephant, R as in rabbit.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So obviously you guys you laid it out in the email, but tell me the main issue you have with SPLC and why no one should use their standards for judging hate.
Well, the fact of the matter is they are a hate group in and of themselves. There's a lot of background information people simply aren't aware of. The SPLC was not founded as a benevolent civil rights organization. Morris Dees, the former co-founder, I'll get in that in a minute, the former co-founder, he represented the Ku Klux Klan. I'm just astonished anybody would be using any resource or organization he founded. He represented the Ku Klux Klan as an attorney, almost like an ambulance chaser, just for the money. Then he moved into the civil rights advocacy work for the money. I mean, the SPLC has raised over $300 million over the last few decades, and it's all in offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. This is about making money. This is not about making a difference. This is not about protecting civil rights. I need to remind you, and just anybody else who follows up on this story, the SPLC labels the Jewish Defense League a hate group. The Jewish Defense League was founded to protect Orthodox Jews from white supremacists, white nationalists, and Islamic militants. That is the exact opposite of a hate group. For example, they have a long record of being sued for defamation. They defamed a reformist Muslim named Majid Nawaz, who believes in women's rights and doesn't support Sharia law. On the website itself, they called Majid an anti-Muslim extremist. That is the epitome of libel. He is a Muslim. And then they call him anti-Muslim. It was so outrageous, he filed a lawsuit and he got a $3.3 or $3.8 million settlement. And the SPLC had to issue an official apology. You as a journalist should know there was a progressive journalist named Max Blumenthal. He was defamed by the SPLC. They called him a Russian operative when he was nothing of the sort. And they had to issue an apology and they had to retract the article there. They have lied about the founder of our organization, MassResistance. They've claimed that he said that no homosexuals died in the Holocaust. That's simply not true. There is no record, no evidence to corroborate.
There's no way to prove that.
There's no evidence that he said that. Brian Kemaker never said that. And the SPLC still has it on their website. They have a picture of me from an article in 2018, and then it says white nationalist joins ranks of MassResistance. I am the exact opposite of a white nationalist. I reject racial supremacy of any forms. I've never endorsed or advocate such hateful ideologies.
So why do they say that?
You're going to have to ask them that. They're the ones that engage in the libel. And this goes to a larger thing, Wale. The fact is, there's a large understanding among the media that the SPLC is not a principled civil rights organization. They are an activist partisan group that wants to defame conservatives or defamed people who are centrist or right of center or who have a more magnanimous view about different points of view.
I can see that, but why would they say, like, what libelous proof do they use to say that to just pull out a random person from a hat and say that's a white
They
nationalist?
have no evidence. And here's the thing specifically I can say with that article, and I think I don't know if I shared it with you. In the report, they target someone else named Kenny Strawn. He is not a white nationalist either. They call him a white nationalist, but there's a picture of me and it says white nationalist joins the ranks of MassResistance. That is actionable. and I need to segue this in. Our organization, we are looking to take legal action now against the SPLC. But here's the thing. Regardless of what some other third-party website writes, you as journalists have a responsibility to fact check everything. And what happens by and large, and this is true for larger news organizations or smaller ones, is that they just go to the SPLC and go, well, who do they call a hate group? I'm asking this. Wale, I need you to answer this for me. Do you think that Jewish people defending themselves from white supremacists is a hate group?
No, I do not. So here's my question to you.
Why would you quote the SPLC? You need to understand my vehemence here. Why would you quote them?
So very valid points. Here's my question to you.
Let me add this too. Look, remember, you're writing a story about my comments. I know you have some questions, and I'll give you a chance. But I need to bring this also to your attention. Michigan Radio, an NPR affiliate. Okay, so they're not exactly Breitbart or Fox News or right wing. When we told them all this information about the SPLC, they took away the label. They said, we won't use it. I live in Southern California, even though I help to organize chapters around the country. We have a considerable media company called the SoCal News Group. They represent, or they run the Daily Breeze in Torrance, where I live, Orange County Register, the Riverside County Press Enterprise. When I gave them information about the SPLC, everything I've shared with you, they said, we won't use them.
And I'm completely fine with that. You brought up very good points where it would make someone say, hey, let's not use this organization if they have any kind of partisan, because it diminishes the point that they're trying to make. So here's my question to you.
Go ahead.
When you're doing a story regarding hate groups or whatever the story is, if you can't go to the SPLC because of what you mentioned, where do you go to find who's tracking these things?
See, here's the problem. How do you define hate? See, this is where things get very nebulous in the first place. Having a difference of opinion with somebody is not hate. It is American as apple pie that we have different interest groups, different peoples who want to advance different ideas. We go back to the 1840s, for example. I can assure you, slave owners defamed abolitionists. This is a fact. They called them terrorists. They called them communists. There was a journal printed in the South called DeBow's Review. I studied American history. That's a period of history I'm really familiar with. They were defamed. I mean, William Lloyd Garrison was harassed, attacked. He was violently assaulted. And it all comes from the libelous attacks that were pressed upon them by other interest groups. Honestly, I mean, what is this fascination? To me, this is kind of begging the question, why are you looking for hate groups, and why, I mean.
So let me answer your question. So the President of the United States, I don't care what party you are, it doesn't matter. The President of the United States is on a national debate and is asked to denounce white supremacy,
right?
And says, Proud Boys stand back and stand by. Now, say what you want about the Proud Boys, how they founded. I know the history, sure. But those same Proud Boys, if you saw my story, it galvanized them in a way where they're like, yes, sir, standing by. Where regardless of how political, I don't care. But they took it as a way to say, yes, we're standing by. Now, at the same time, you have this climate where hate crimes are up nationwide. Again, I don't care what party you are. Hate crimes are up nationwide.
Okay, I want to speak to that right away. When you're talking about hate crimes, first of all, like Jussie Smollett, he faked it. That's a problem. Second of all, there's actually been research on this because our organization, we fight the LGBT agenda. Just for the record, we have men and women who have struggled with these issues. I just got off, over this past week, I've talked to 4 people who are former transgenders. They have reintegrated back to their birth sex. They recognize this agenda as very destructive. We have former homosexuals who are reaching out to us.
Have you heard of strength and weakness?
Hold on a sec. You're talking about, okay, you're talking about hate groups and hate crimes, and it's like we're talking about how these things are classified and what's going on here. But I want to get right back to, first and foremost, you put an article that called Mass Resistance a hate group. That is wrong. And I want to understand, are you going to remove that article? Are you going to remove our name from that list or not? Because I'm not gonna have this conversation be sidelined automatically here. What are you going to do about that?
So we want to get your quotes. We want to include.
Okay,
So
are you going to remove our organization being defamed like that on your news site? You are responsible for that. You wrote that, regardless of what some third-party website may have posted.
So we're having a bigger, because I responded to that question when you emailed me several months ago, and I said our I get what you're saying about third party, whatever.
Yes.
But that's kind of how journalism works, right? So we're going after a story.
Okay.
Let me explain this to you. We're going after a story, and I started explaining why we were doing the story. You interrupted, which lets me know that you understand why we were doing the story. So we're going after a story, and we need to be able to tell our viewers in our area, is this a big deal? Is this a concern? Should you be worried? Just what is the climate locally? So how do we do that? The way to do that is by finding organizations that track these things, right? So I didn't just go to the SPLC. I went to the I forget their initials.
The Anti-Defamation League.
ADL.
Okay.
So you go to as many people that track these things as possible, and you get their input their input. I can't give you my input as a journalist because I don't track these things. I'm the conduit. I know you guys say that's a cop out, but in any sense of the word, as a journalist, that's what I am. So we go to the places that track these things, and we publicize them. And that's all we can do.
Okay, I don't want to get segued too much about this. There is an understanding that people want to be able to protect themselves from groups that are systematically targeting people because of their ethnicity or because of their ethnic background or their religious backgrounds. I can understand an interest in wanting to document that. Hate groups that are deliberately wanting to harm or destroy people. I can understand an interest in sharing with the general public who they are, what they're doing. But here's the thing. We go back to the SPLC. If you looked at their list, they call the Family Research Council a hate group. There is no evidence. Wally, are you there? Okay. The Family Research Council is a conservative organization that believes in natural marriage, one man, one woman. There is no evidence, no record that they have committed any violence or perpetrated any property crimes against groups of people based on their ethnicity, their religious adherences, or their national background. None. And
I am so sorry. I have to interrupt you. The timing, I was trying to do this 2 o'clock. I have another call that I have to take this other call. Can I call you back? Okay. I want to finish this conversation. Is that okay?
Okay, let's use the same link. That
okay.
Same link should work, okay? All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
End this here. Okay, that's fine.